There's one tiny move that changes everything. It's not a clever line or a rehearsed opener. It's smaller, quieter, and almost invisible to the people around you. Yet it's the exact reason some quiet people are remembered after a single conversation. You felt the opposite plenty of times before. The conversation starts fine. You both smile, you exchange the usual lines. Then it dies in your hands, and you're standing there wondering what went wrong. You weren't boring, you weren't rude, you simply got stuck on the surface. That surface is where most small talk lives and quietly disappears. This script is going to give you 3 real tools. A tiny conversational move that instantly deepens any exchange you start. A subtle body language shift that makes people feel safe opening up. And one final move, near the end, that quiet people use without realizing it. That last one is the reason some people feel magnetic without ever raising their voice. Let's start where small talk actually breaks down for most quiet people. Someone asks how your weekend was, and you say it was good. They say theirs was good too, and suddenly there's nothing left. You both smile politely, glance away, and the moment dissolves into silence. It wasn't a bad answer, it was just a closed one. Closed answers create closed conversations, and most people don't notice they're doing it. You give a fact, they give a fact, and neither of you opens a door. The small move is simple. Add one specific detail to your answer. Not a story, not a speech, just one vivid piece of texture. Instead of saying it was good, say it was quiet, you finally finished a book. Instead of saying work was busy, say you had 3 back-to-back calls but 1 weird email. That one detail is a hook the other person can grab and pull. Suddenly they have something real to ask about, and the conversation has somewhere to go. This works because human brains crave specifics, not summaries. Vague words slide past us, but specific images stick and invite curiosity. When you say a book, their mind asks which one without you prompting them. When you say a weird email, their mind leans in before they even speak. You didn't try harder, you just gave them something to hold. Notice how this protects you from the pressure to be entertaining. You don't have to be funny, charming, or quick on your feet. You only have to be slightly more specific than the average person. That alone puts you in a small group most people never join. Here's the part most people miss about small talk. Small talk isn't the enemy, it's the doorway, and the doorway needs a key. The key is always the small piece of texture you offer freely. Without it, both of you stay polite strangers standing in the same hallway. With it, the door opens, and the real conversation walks in. Now let's talk about what happens after you offer that detail. This is where the second tool comes in, and it's almost entirely silent. Most people, after sharing something, immediately glance away or fill the silence. They get nervous, soften their voice, or rush into the next sentence. Without realizing it, they signal that what they said wasn't worth holding. The move is this. After you share your detail, hold steady for 1 beat. Keep your eyes calm, your shoulders relaxed, and let the moment breathe. Don't laugh nervously. Don't backtrack. Don't add 3 more sentences to soften it. That single beat of stillness tells the other person your words have weight. And when your words have weight, theirs start to have weight too. People match the energy you set, not the energy you describe. If you treat your own words as small, they'll treat them as small. If you treat them as worth a moment, they'll lean in to match you. This is why some quiet people feel grounded even when they barely speak. They're not performing confidence, they're just refusing to shrink after speaking. Try this. The next time someone asks you a normal question, answer with one specific detail, then stop and let your presence settle. Watch how often the other person leans in slightly without thinking. Watch how they ask a follow-up that's warmer, slower, more curious. You didn't pull them in with words, you pulled them in with stillness. There's something quiet people often don't realize about themselves. You already notice details other people miss in every room you walk into. You catch the small shifts in tone, the half smiles, the things left unsaid. That noticing is not a weakness, it's the raw material of real connection. Most loud conversationalists can't do what you already do naturally. They're too busy performing to actually see the person in front of them. You see them, and that's the rarest thing anyone can offer another human. The trick is learning to gently show that you see them. That brings us to the third tool, and it's the one that changes everything. Before we get there, I want to pause and ask you something. What's the smallest moment that ever made you feel truly seen by someone? Maybe it was a question no one else thought to ask you, Maybe it was someone remembering a tiny thing you mentioned weeks earlier. Share it in the comments if you feel like it, even just one line. Your moment might be the exact thing another quiet reader needed to hear today. Now back to that third move, the one that quietly changes everything. After someone shares something with you, don't respond with your own story yet. Most people hear a detail and immediately match it with one of their own. You went hiking, they went hiking too, and now both stories sit untouched. It feels like connection, but it's actually two monologues passing in the dark. The move is to ask one curious follow-up before you say anything about yourself. Not a generic one, a specific one tied to a word they just used. If they say the trip was overwhelming, ask what part felt the most overwhelming. If they say their job is weird right now, ask what kind of weird. You're picking up the exact thread they offered and pulling gently on it. This single habit makes you feel like the most interesting person in the room. The strange part is that you barely said anything about yourself. People remember how you made them feel, not the clever things you said. And nothing feels better than someone who actually heard the words you chose. Most people listen for their turn to talk. You listen for the thread. That's a quiet superpower, and it lives naturally in people like you. Here's the deeper truth underneath all three of these tools. Connection isn't built by saying more, it's built by going one layer deeper. One specific detail instead of a vague one is a layer deeper. One steady beat instead of nervous backtracking is a layer deeper. One curious follow-up instead of a matching story is a layer deeper. That's 3 small drops, and 3 drops are enough to fill a real moment. You don't need to be louder, funnier, or more talkative than anyone else. You just need to keep choosing the layer underneath the obvious one. Now here's the part I saved for the end. The thing that quiet, magnetic people do without ever naming it. They let conversations end while the other person still wants more. Most people talk until the energy fades and the goodbye feels heavy. Quiet, magnetic people sense the peak and step away just before it. They leave on a warm line, a soft smile, a gentle reason to go. The other person walks away still glowing, still thinking about the exchange. That feeling, that lingering warmth, is what people call charisma. It's not in what you said, it's in what they're still feeling afterward. So you don't need to extend every conversation as long as possible. You need to end it while it's still alive, still warm, still resonant. That restraint is something loud people almost never learn to do. It's a quiet gift, and you're already wired to feel when the moment is full. Trust that instinct the next time it whispers that this was enough. Smile, say something kind, and let the moment close while it's still beautiful. That's how small talk becomes a real connection people remember later. Try one of these tools this week, just one in one real conversation. Add a specific detail, hold a steady beat, or ask one curious follow-up. Notice how the other person's eyes change, even slightly in that moment. Tell me in the comments which of the 3 you're going to try first. If this helped you feel a little more capable, subscribe and turn on the bell. There are more quiet tools coming, and I don't want you to miss them. You were never bad at conversation, you were just using the loud rulebook. The quiet rulebook was always yours, and now you've started reading it.